Thank you, man. I appreciate your patience, my brother. Man, y'all was dropping some hot fire, man, earlier today. Man, and for all those, man, let me tell you something, man. I was just, doing this podcast. I normally do it, and I was just telling them, I'm like, man, you have to start comparing notes. And what y'all was saying today with the other brother, man, he was dropping fire. That's why I'm like, man, send me some books. I already looked up one of the books that I think you had posted, and hey, man, I really wanted you to understand that me, hey man, every day is a school day. So I just wanted to start this off this, and I wanted to ask you this question amongst anything. The Supreme Court justice, do you think that's a good thing for us black folk, or do you think that's a bad thing, man? And drop that fire like you always be dropping, bro.
That that's like asking, and that's a very good question. You know what I'm saying? Um, let's look at how they're promoting her to us. They're promoting her as a black woman. You know what I'm saying? And in regards to our understanding of what this word actually means and what it represents, I mean, she's just propped up there, as that carrot to to give niggas hope for this system that has continued to fail us over and over again. And yes, that includes that Supreme Court as well. You know, um, with the Supreme, I'm not even gonna go into that. Let's just go into this black woman. This is the same woman who's you know when people did research on her, they found out this she's lenient on pedophiles. She's lenient on pedophiles. You can already smell the LGBT community surrounding this woman. You feel me? And don't this woman? Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong, brother. I don't know too much about this woman, but is she married to a white man?
I was look, man. I couldn't wait to get your answer on this, bro. I couldn't wait. I knew you was gonna have me dying laughing. Nigga, yes, my nigga. And everything you have said has been facts. Yes, she's been very. Why do you think those Republicans was going hard on her about that pedophile shit? And like
Exactly.
if you listen to the listen to the little transcripts, and they was like, now how can we take you serious as a Supreme Court and you not even going hard on on pedophilia? And she didn't.
Exactly.
Then they remember. Then they asked her, so what's a woman? And that bitch started scratching her head, and shit. Nigga, I was dying laughing. I was like,
Oh
and
yeah,
they was like,
that part.
remember? They was like, so you don't know what a woman is? She was scratching her head, and that's why I wanted to get your perspective, man. What saying all that? Break it down like you do, and explain why those things are not good for us.
Because first off, we got to look at the role of this government and what they have done in regards to steal our lands. You know what I'm saying? They always keep peddling black people around us, quote unquote black people, right? And that word, as I've said before, that can attribute to those Africans that come from their countries. You know what I'm saying? These little immigrants. And this is why you got the Barack Obamas. This is why you got the Kamala Harrises out here that don't do shit for us. Because, I mean, truth be told, if we were to receive reparations, they wouldn't even be eligible for it. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I'm talking about, that whole blackness. We've created this whole dogmatic religion out of blackness. And then out of this religion comes our political agenda, which has nothing to do with acquiring our stolen lands. So anything outside of reacquiring our stolen lands is a distraction. Uh, what's her name? Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's just a distraction. Her name even rhymes with it. You feel me? So that's what's going to come about. That it's just basically more distractions, more policies for the LGBT community, more benign neglect. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what's going to happen. It's the same thing that's been happening. She's not the first black person that's been on the Supreme Court. They've had another nobody who's black. What's his name? I don't even know this nigga's name.
Clarence Thomas.
Clarence
Clarence
Thomas. Come on, man. Like,
break it down. Break it down, man. Break it down.
these people have never done anything for the benefit of black society. And he's been on the Supreme Court for decades. Matter of fact, he's been up there for a long time. He's been up there even after Trayvon got murdered. Breonna, wasn't he? Breonna Taylor's been murdered. All these people, all these black people have been unjustly murdered, and the Supreme Court hasn't done shit. Period. That shit is laughable. And all of this under the guise of us being black, which we really should be indigenous to this land. You know what I'm saying? It's just a big distraction. There's nothing else I really can say about that Supreme Court and this government system. As long as this shit keep niggas voting, that's all they need. They just need niggas to vote. It don't really matter which side, especially on an executive level, because they can manipulate the votes anyway. They just need to know niggas are participating. Because as long as niggas are participating, they will be subjected by this government. They will be subjects under this government, subjects of it, rather than being the landowners and the ones who actually have a say-so. If it's your land, you dictate who get the jobs. You dictate who got to pay you taxes. You know what I'm saying? And the Supreme Court is not going to help us do that. Then they're just here to keep us in check.
Hey, what's up, Django Leg, man? I see you in there. Let us know when you want to speak. I want to get his thoughts too. Now, let me ask you a question. You said they want, I like that. You said they just want to make sure niggas are participating. Let me ask you this question. You know, I'm going to ask you, I like to ask questions. Why do you think, from your perspective, they want to make sure that niggas are participating?
Because that lets them know that we have enveloped the lie, that we have accepted it as truth. And we have accepted another aspect of false power. It's just like money, you know what I'm saying? You think white people, if they were as racist as white people are supposedly are, why would they allow black people to even have access to any capital, let alone money, if it really held power? Why would they go out of their way to give us Bibles if the Bibles was going to empower us? You know, why would they go out of their way to, you know what I'm saying, indoctrinate us with this usage of money if it was really going to give us real true power and liberation? When in actuality, you know, money is kind of like that carrot that they dangle in front of niggas too, kind of like reparations, just like reparations. And one day you niggas are going to get enough of this money that white people print, matter of fact, foreigners print, that are not even have nothing to do with America. But as long as they print the money, they control the money supply. And if they can control who has the money, they can control who don't have the money. You know what I'm saying? But we believe that the money actually has value because we have been reduced down to a dogmatic people that just believe everything based off of opinion, based off of hearsay, without actually critically looking into things. Just like voting, you know, niggas will go take their ass to the polls and go vote for a motherfucker who is going to literally destroy their communities, unbeknownst to them, all because of hope. This is why Barack Obama ran off of hope. That all they offer to us is hope. When have they not offered hope to us? Just think about all the years that they had elections and they came around black people, what they offered us. And what do we have to show for it? All we have is hope. And this is what go ahead, brother.
No. So, man, you just sparked. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Not more of a question. What do you think? Okay, now, the representative of the West Coast, I think, is uh, brother Tony Muhammad. He told this story. I don't know if you're familiar with it. When John Kerry was running in 2004. So now I don't know if you're familiar with it. He said John Kerry came to the black community in LA, and all like everything you described is kind of scaring me because he described this, my brother. He said basically all the niggas was just going along with whatever John Kerry said, and Tony Muhammad said he asked him, "Well, what are you gonna do for us?" And you know, all the niggas that were there, these were prominent niggas too. Prominent thought leaders were like telling him to be quiet, don't ask him nothing. And he told John Kerry and his cabinet at the time, "Hey man, did you do something for the white Jewish community?" He said, "Yep." He said, "Did you do something for the Asians?" He said, "Yep." "Did you do something for the Chinese people?" He said, "Yep." "Did you do something for the Mexicans?" He said, "Yep." "So you promised them everything, right? That they wanted, right?" He said, "Yeah." "And in exchange, they're gonna vote for you, right?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "So then what you gonna do for us?" My brother, you know they ran brother Tony Muhammad up out of there. You know they ran him up out of there because he was because he I think his perspective was like we're supposed to be questioning him and we're supposed to get tangibles. Then this is when this wasn't popular, you know what I'm saying, to question these white folk. And my question to you is, do you think we need to take more of that approach? Have somebody in there and be like, well, I'm gonna let everybody else sit back, but I'm gonna question this motherfucker and see what he gonna do for us. Do you think that's a better approach? The way he kind of did?
I believe in taking advantage of assets when assets present themselves. So I'm not saying that niggas shouldn't be police. Hell, we might need a motherfucker inside to tell us what's going on with these fucking white supremacist gangs in law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a real thing. Like, we can talk about how, you know, the misnomers of black and white, but as far as the practice of white supremacy, that shit is real. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know for a fact that that shit is real, and they have to make it a reality in order for them to survive because they're not indigenous to no lands. So, you know, white supremacy is always a threat. So it's always good to have people everywhere. You think white people don't have people everywhere? They got people everywhere. They got people in the CBC, the NAACP, the FBI. I mean, they got people everywhere, just for not just for intelligence, but you know, they're assets for these people. Like, you know what I mean? Whenever they need to pop something off or they need to put out a certain narrative, you know, people are in position. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't have people in there. You feel me? Especially when we're in the transition of building our own shit. But like, we gotta have intel on these people, and the best way to get that is to be in the mix. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, what I believe is like we should have is our own government. Period. Period. You know what I'm saying? I mean, having your own government don't stop you from, you know what I'm saying, infiltrating certain organizations that you have to be aware of. You think Israeli Mossad is out here not infiltrating all these other governments? You know, and shit. I mean, we got to be more strategic about I don't give a fuck what niggas do, just as long as it's strategic and empowering, and it's not some shit to just sell us hope. You know what I'm saying? That's selling hope ain't gonna work.
Wait, you need to, my nigga. You can't drop that jewel and then keep moving. Say that shit one more time. This nigga said, I don't give a fuck what niggas do, but just stop selling us hope.
Real anything, nigga. I don't care if you don't. I don't care if you don't go to the polls and don't do shit. I mean, at least it lets me know that you're not, you know, accepting the narrative of, oh, if you vote for one of us or the lesser of two evils, your situation is going to get better. At least that lets me know you're not like indoctrinated like that. But we need to start teaching people, like, if we're going to tell our people to not vote, we have to come up with actual solutions, because that's not a solution. That saying that you're not going to vote is just basically like saying you're not going to do shit, which, you know, we already don't do. You feel me? So if you're not going to vote, what are you going to do in replacement of that? Are you going to have your own government? Are you going to appoint your own spokesmen, women? You know what I'm saying? What are you going to do? Just not voting is not doing anything. But if you're not voting and you're building your community around you so you can have your own nation to commute your issues with this government, which is really foreign to us, then that makes sense. But you can't just say don't vote and then we're going to wait around for a fucking handout eventually. You know what I'm saying? Because that's counterproductive. And once again, that relies on people outside of ourselves to make shit happen for us, which we should already been making the shit pop off for ourselves in the first place. I mean,
So
we
let
got
so let
everything
me
behind it.
so let me ask you this. So you basically said, okay, if you're not gonna vote, which that's a good ass suggestion. You're not gonna vote, then we should be building a nation. Can you speak to the things that we should be doing to try to build a nation?
All right. Now, one of the main things that we need to do as far as building a nation, in my opinion, is first off, this cannot be done overnight. Okay. Like building a nation and all that, that shit takes some time. It takes institutions to do this too. You know what I'm saying? So it's about getting your community all sold on an idea and putting it into application. You know, your people have a common goal. Y'all work to achieve that goal as your nation. So it will consist of a lot of things. What all do we need? Well, first off, we need to reprogram or educate our children. You feel me? We need to be the ones that are educating our children. We need our own educational institutions, which means we need to take our children out of these schools and start teaching them important things that they need as far as trades, as far as their own history. You know, just for starters, we need our own institutions. Uh, we need our own religious institutions outside of Christianity and this Bible. You know, we need to reconnect with, oh, that goes into doing your genealogy. You know what I'm saying? Many of us need to do our genealogy, period, before we do anything, so that we can know who we are, what nations we actually do belong to, and what our people specifically lost on an individual scale. You know what I'm saying? Because when we know what our families lost, then we can fight for what our families lost as a people together. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
okay. So let me stop you right there. You brought up a great point because I always be talking to like my family and my siblings about it a lot, and people that are around me. And one of the things that you touched on, religion. Now, you know me, I'm always you ain't know me that long, but you know by now I'm always use my personal perspective. Nigga, I was always taught voodoo was bad. I was always taught it was this. And then I was always taught that, you do the Christian thing because that's gonna get you to heaven. Now that I'm older and I see like, oh well, the Haitians was using voodoo and they got them white people up out of there. So that's why everybody thinks voodoo is bad. Now my thing is, I think it's hundreds of thousands of black people that's just like me, my brother, that they don't even really know what type of religion they should be using. And could you speak to that? Could you speak to how important it is that we need to understand that there's other religions that we created and that will be more powerful for us than just this regular black Christianity?
Man, that's a very good question. In regards to anything, I don't care if it's religion, if you can't just believe something just because you heard somebody else say it. You know what I'm saying? Even Even if it's like direct family members, they tell you something. You can't just believe that. My grandmother told me, I asked my grandmother where white people come from. She told me the story of Adam and Eve. Now, that's insane, like, given what we know about white people and the history of it all. You know what I'm saying? And what they say about their scientific origins. So, like, and not only that, what we can physically see white people have done as far as, history, and as far as their actual traits and what they are continuing to do right now, it would suggest that these people are not even a natural people at all. Somebody supplanted these people here. You feel me? But my grandmother, she wouldn't tell me no shit, like, she didn't tell me nothing like that. Basically, they all come from the same source. She basically told me the same thing Africans tell me when I ask them where white people come from. And she'll refer to the Bible. But what about Neanderthal DNA? What about primate DNA? What about the A and B antigens? What about the Rh factor? Why do motherfuckers need the ROGAM shot? See, when you get into all that, it makes the story just seem like it's just a story. You feel me? So don't just believe everything just because certain people say it, even if it's your people. Like, if you can find out with your own research, especially in this day and age of information, you know what I'm saying? Why not just do the research to find out and affirm to yourself what happened or what did not happen, even in regards to like how you think the universe manifested. Now, everybody's going to always have a difference of opinion, because when we're talking about the universe, we're talking about the creation of the universe. We're talking about metaphysics. Meta means beyond. Physics means physics, like things that you can physically detect with your physical senses. So you cannot use a language that's predicated off of only things that we can see physically to explain things that are beyond physics. We are limited by our languages. We need to understand that. As far as like what God is, like the ancestors, our ancestors, the indigenous cultures all around the world were either polytheists or they were animist or a mixture of both. It's very rare you see monotheistic beliefs happening with ancient cultures around the world. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay, hold on. Let me stop
yeah,
you. I gotta stop you again. I gotta
go
stop
ahead.
you then. Break down monotheism. Break that down. Break that down for people that may not know it. I know it, not as well as you, but I know enough. But other people, nigga, might not know it at all. So break that down a little bit, my brother.
The belief that there is one God, in there is one individual deity that is the source of all of creation. Basically, that is a monotheistic belief versus the polytheistic belief where you have multiple gods. Like the Egyptians were polytheistic, and they were also animist as well. So they had a belief in multiple godlike deities that were gods in their own respective creations. Then you have animism, where it's basically the belief that everything, even inanimate objects, possess some type of spirit. Animals all have a spirit, a consciousness, and we're all connected through the consciousness. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like understanding that water has consciousness. You feel me? Like what we can prove objectively is that there is a spirit that dwells within all living things. Period. We can prove that. We can prove water has a consciousness. If water is conscious, what does that mean about the entire earth, which is made of majority of water? What does it mean about is the earth conscious, or are we sitting on a dead rock? What about the sun? Without the sun, why isn't the sun looked at as our God or a creator God? Without the sun, we wouldn't be here. Why would we just imagine that there's only one God when there's trillions of stars in the sky and trillions of different worlds and planets? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, we are a dogmatic people, and we just believe things because we heard it from somewhere else, and they got it from a book. Now, we don't know who wrote the book. We don't know when the book was officially wrote. We don't know a lot about that book. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people will come up with all kinds of historical timelines and all kinds of geographical locations in pertaining to the book, and would sit there and look you square in your face as if that shit is absolute history when they cannot prove that.
So let me ask you a question. I'm gonna jump in, man, because you're dropping a lot of science, and I hope people play this back. Now, let me ask you a question. When you said animals have spirit, is that the reason why? Remember when that tsunami came and all those animals started walking up the hill before the tsunami came? Remember that big ass tsunami hit and it kind of killed people, and you know what I mean? And it was huge, and they, a lot of witnesses were saying that the animals started trucking, like walking up the hill, and nobody knew why. Like before it happened, they just started walking up the hill, walking, to a safe space. So would you say that's kind of like a little point of how animals have a spirit and they're kind of in tune with nature? Would that be safe to kind of say that? I don't know if you remember that when they had that tsunami and people were basically saying the animals started walking up the hill before it happened
Yeah.
because a lot of animals didn't die. So would that kind of go inside with and tie into how you said animals have spirits too?
Yeah. I would look at it like this. I would look at it like, if anything, because even white people, you feel me? Even they got spirit because of consciousness. Like, we're connected with all living things through consciousness. Everybody has five senses, or really six senses, like that intuitive sense as well, if you want to count that. You know what I'm saying? So animals have the same thing. They have the same type of programming we have, if you want to, call it something, or associate consciousness to something. It's like programming. We all have the same type of software. We may have different hardware, but the software is ultimately still the same. That's how we know that we're connected, through our senses, through our physical senses. And if you look at human beings, I would say human is a word that we use to identify ourselves. But because of language and because of who we are, and we're ultimately manifestations of the metaphysical realm, you know what I'm saying? We use the word human to identify ourselves, or man or woman to identify ourselves, when in actuality, we could be the very gods of this planet. And we are gods, from my research. We are gods. And the reason why we're gods is because we are immortalized through our process, or our gift, or procreation. This is how we are eternal beings. We can live virtually forever, because if you look at human beings, for lack of a better term, as a collective or as a symbiotic organism, then we are immortal as one entity. You feel what I'm saying?
Ooh, this brother, you breaking it down. For anybody that just tapped in, my brother in here is breaking down metaphysics. Like, he breaking down a lot of stuff, and we're just kind of diagramming how this sister Ketanji Brown Jackson, whether she's good or bad for our people, and he's basically breaking down the science of why she's not good. He's not just speaking on emotion, because you're right. We get emotional about stuff, but we don't come with the science, the facts. We don't come with notes. We don't come with comparative notes. We just come with emotion. And my brother's breaking down scientifically why she's not good for us, why we shouldn't be voting. And if we're not voting, we should be building a nation. And he's breaking down all those things. Now my next question is to you. Why do you think they gave us Christianity? Why do you think? Because from my studies, I'm gonna just say from a little bit of my studies, and I was reading, these white folk is going to study in voodoo and Ifa, the shit that we created, but then they're giving us the shit that they created. Why do you think they're doing that? And kind of tie it into how it works politically as well.
See, honestly, I used to think that white man did all this shit and they wrote the Bible and they gave it to us and this and that and the third. But what I believe happened based off my research, first off, we're gonna have to pinpoint when these white folks started coming around us in the first place, and we're gonna have to pinpoint when they were civilized and when they had the technological capabilities of pulling the fast one on us. You know what I'm saying? So what they did was they didn't write the Bible. They say like they make it out as if they are the main influencers of the translation of the original text. You know what I mean? But they have to do that because they're not indigenous nowhere. And all of their spiritual systems they got from indigenous people or black people, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? So they never came up with shit on their own. Now, these stories have existed. I'm not saying they're real, like literally. I'm not saying they should be taken literally, but there is some truth in the Bible if you're not looking at it from a dogmatic perspective. This is why I keep telling people, get out of that dogma. Whatever your preacher is telling you about Jesus and all this shit, die for your sins, and like, man, just chalk that shit out. It's a dub on that. Just chalk that shit out the window because there's two versions of his crucifixion, actually. There's a version of Jesus actually faking his death, you know, but you can't tell that to a Christian because they don't even read their own Bible. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, what these people have done was they have taught things from the Bible from a certain perspective. You know what I'm saying? To indoctrinate us to look at God outside of ourselves and depend on something outside of ourselves to do something for us, what we should be doing for ourselves. So the reason why they had to instill God, you know what I'm saying? And they had to instill God as a monotheistic entity that was external of us, that was outside of us, that is able to control our fate. And so they had to do that, but at the same time, they had to get rid of our original heroes or the original gods or gods, plural, that we used to worship. So they didn't write shit. They just taught it to us a certain way that we look at it from a certain perspective. And the Negroes today that teach from the Bible, the reason why they teach it the way it's being taught is because that's what they were told to do. Period. And
okay, so let me
get money.
so
They
so
get paid for it.
so let me ask you. You know, I'm gonna jump in and out because man, this is I want shit to be highlighted. So basically, what you're saying is, you know, white folk they just took something that they needed to translate because they're not indigenous from nowhere, right? They don't even know where they belong because they don't have a home. So
Right.
they took something we created. Would it be safe to say that even they could have even remixed it and took shit out of it?
Well, that's debatable because the first Bibles were printed in the 1400s, around 1440, the Gutenberg press. Now, the interesting thing is the reason why I say we have to pinpoint the time when white people really started getting they power up is because when we look at that time, that's the medieval period. Around that time, there were white people walking on all fours. All right, they were being depicted as walking on all fours, hairy than a motherfucker, roaming around Europe, uncivilized, savages, practicing cannibalism, raping the animals, raping the women. You know what I'm saying? So how could they have possibly invented a printing press when they're known at that time as woodwoses? And I would argue that that a white Greek doesn't even exist. and that the Greeks were supplanted, the white Greeks were supplanted in history to be the progenitors of history and philosophy. Real talk. Ask yourself,
Hey,
ask yourself
no,
about the Greeks.
no, you're right because even in that book, Stolen Legacy, he was like kind of breaking down everything they lied about. Like he was in that book, he's breaking it down. I
Exactly.
mean, to a science. And when you say like to a science, and the way he broke it down was almost kind of scary. I had to put the book down because I was like, "Damn." And you know what it made me do? I'm not gonna lie. I can't speak for everybody else. It made me be like, damn,
Yeah.
like what the hell is going on?
Well,
When I read that thing, I forgot what chapter it was when he talked about how Pythagoras and basically Aristotle and all them were waiting years to get into the mystery schools and be enlightened. You
40
know what I mean?
years.
And years, right? And
40
then I
years.
think now you tell me because you a historian, so you tell me. I don't know if it was Aristotle or Plato. One of them got locked up, and they sent somebody to pay their debt to somebody that they owe while they got locked up because that was a part of what they had learned in the mystery school. And then
Yeah.
your boy Alexander the Greek, he was mad at them because they was telling him. Now you call me if I'm wrong. They was telling him like, "Hey man, we need to be fucking with these niggas. They got the real shit." And
That's right.
he had outlawed. I mean, outlawed the liberal arts, basically science, astrology, astronomy. Like he was like, "No, we not fucking with that shit." And they was like sneaking. Now you tell me if I'm wrong, because motherfuckers, you get to talking this to our people, they be looking at you like you crazy. And it
Yep.
should. And when they were sneaking over there and waiting all this time, and then listen to what you're saying now about how the Bible was and how they didn't write it, that even confirms in my mind even more. Like, damn, I just feel for a person that didn't know this, you feel dumb because you're like,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. I mean, he made a perfect point. It's like, what books did the Greeks have to really garnish all this knowledge when these people were a warmongering people? They didn't even have agriculture like that for real. Like, look at have you ever known Greeks to practice farming like that? You know what I'm
Hell
saying?
no.
As a
Hell
matter
no.
of
You're
fact,
right.
I just watched Wrath of the Titans the other day. Watch that movie. Look how those people are living. Look how they're basically in a desert with nothing. Nothing. And you wonder why their gods are always so cruel. Because look how they fucking live. They ain't got shit over there. You wonder why they always conquesting. Because they don't got shit in Europe. So how could they have this foundation of agriculture, or I'm sorry, this foundation of philosophy when they don't have no agriculture whatsoever? And I
That's a
love
great
Stolen
point.
Legacy. I love Stolen Legacy because they break the very beginning of the book. He talked about the ancient Egyptian arts and sciences were known as the summum bonum, the greatest good that any man could achieve in their life. And these practices was known as the mystery systems to the Greeks. And so this is where they practice the writing systems, hieroglyphs, uh, you know what I'm saying? All the sciences, the mathematics, all of that, all of these arts and sciences were secretive practices that were done by a secret order, and they forbade their initiates to teach their teachings to the common people. You know what I'm saying? So like the common person was not going around speaking hieroglyphs. There is not a language. The common people in Egypt are not speaking the Metanetra. It's not a language.
Yeah, okay, that's facts. That's facts.
It's not. But like,
And
oh, go ahead, brother.
no, let me ask you a question. Why is it that I'm gonna ask you this? Why is it I feel like if
I feel like, why is it so hard for us? I'm talking about us, niggas, us, to really understand that we are the gods. Why is that? You just dropped all this science. You just said all this stuff. That's facts. But motherfuckers will still be like, man, but shit, we struggling though. Like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is it that we still won't come to the fact that we are the gods?
It's simple. It's through our consent. You know what I'm saying? It's through our ignorance. The thing about ignorance, there's intention behind ignorance. It's one thing if you don't know because you never come across the information. It's a whole other thing when a nigga give you the fucking truth and then they gonna tell you they gonna believe what they gonna believe anyway, despite the facts that go against what they believe. That's our problem. A lot of us are willfully ignorant. And truth be told, most of us that are that willfully ignorant don't even have nothing to show for our ignorance besides the hope that we have that things are going to be better in the future. That's it. That's our problem. Our problem is not the white man. It is to a certain extent, but then again, it's like, why do you expect anything different from this entity who has never really explained his true origins? You feel me? We understand they are artificial people. We understand they gonna do what the fuck they're going to do. We should know this by now. We need to treat them as such. I was just talking to somebody earlier about segregation and how basically we were better off during segregation. You can't tell niggas that today. You think that that's going backwards to niggas, but really,
No, you're right because Dr. Claude Edison talked about the Montgomery bus boycott, and he was the boycott, and he was like, no, they was boycotting to go ride the bus with them people. He was like, we had our own buses and we didn't need to integrate shit. We had
that
all
part,
the shit. And he was
that
like, and
part.
they messed up with that. He was like, because people need to check out Dr. Claude Anderson because he be saying some real shit. He was saying some real shit, and he was like, we was better off not being integrated because we had our own buses, we had our own stuff. Once we integrated, that was it. He was like, that was it. Can you kind of speak? Can you kind of speak to that too about why people think we would be going backwards when really we probably should do it that way?
Because all niggas can think of is Martin Luther King. He had a dream, you know what I'm saying? But they don't be thinking about what he was saying before he was killed. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because these white folks gave Martin Luther King a holiday, and it kind of put a battery in niggas' back and made them to believe, and it kind of finessed them into believing that these white people ain't so bad. Look how they acknowledge our hero, when in actuality he was controlled opposition. You know what I'm saying? And he realized it shortly before his assassination. That's why he knew he was going to die.
Now, can you now let me ask you, not ask you, but can you speak to what he said before he got killed? And I'm not talking about that I have a dream bullshit. I'm talking about what did he really say before he got killed and what brought about his demise. Can you speak about that?
He talked about how Black Americans lost our lands, and how white men were able to get our stolen lands and get all kinds of grants that gave them our lands, that gave them subsidies to work the land and everything. And I'm just, in so many words, I'm breaking this down, so I'm not talking so much about it. But in a nutshell, he talked about how we're owed this land. Our land was given to these white folks, and this time when we march down in Washington, we're coming to get our check. Now that's the last thing I said. That's what he said verbatim. When we march down in Washington, we're coming down to get our check. Period. Now they don't like to talk about that part of his speech because that
Why
opens
why
up a can of worms.
why do you think that they don't like talking about it? Because even black folk don't even like talking about that part of the speech. If you notice that, you notice a lot of black people when you be like, hey man, I'm not talking about the high I have a dream. I'm talking about the speech where he's talking about the money. well, man, that's what got him killed. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of what you get from people when you bring that up. Why is it people have that type of defeatist mentality?
Propaganda, man. White supremacy is the all powerful and control everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, white people are the problem. Black people can't do no wrong, and that's what it is. White people know. White people know how we think. I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about me personally. I'm talking about as a collective. They know how we think. Why they always throw a black person up there when, you know what I'm saying, to be the face of some debauchery that they're controlling. You know what I'm saying? They always throw a nigga out there when they want to hide their nefarious means. They know us. They done indoctrinated us so cold. They know we think in absolutes. They know that.
Yep. We do. We do. We do, man. We do.
We
Let me,
think in
let,
absolutes, bro. I tell niggas all the time. I had a tweet. I should put that tweet up here. Is you a crayon color? Is you brown? Is you the brown crayon or the black crayon?
look,
Nigga, if you
because when you start talking that, you already know what happens when you start talking that. And I think I'm talking about our people.
yeah,
I just feel like we need to be more receptive to the knowledge. I think people get so offended that they don't know it that they just automatically don't want to hear it. And then they want to hear what they want to hear. And I think when you start, like the conversation on the spaces we had earlier with the other brother, that's why I was saying, I get y'all perspective about our thought leaders that are on a major scale. You know what I'm saying? I get that perspective because growing up in the black churches, what you think? You see TD Jakes, you see Fred Price. Here's the difference between TD Jakes and all them other big major black pastors and Fred Price. Fred Price had Dr. Claude Anderson at his church and let Dr. Claude Anderson spit that hot knowledge. So I have to give that respect to him because I ain't ever really seen him at no other black churches on the West Coast besides Fred Price's church, and he was speaking about black empowerment. Most black preachers don't speak about that. So I say that to say this: when you have people on a major scale, your Dr. Boyce Watkins, your Dr. Umar's, who's legendary, your Tariq Nasheeds and all them. I've always known as I've gotten older, just through my studies, hey man, everybody has their own perspective. And instead of arguing about somebody's perspective, compare notes. I feel like that's why me and you got cool right away because I'm like, man, why we just can't learn? We don't want to learn shit from each other, man. That's what I've been learning through my studies and being around people. It's almost like, okay, well, you ADOS, okay, and I'm native, I'm indigenous and landmass, and I'm FBA, so we all gotta not get along. That shit is crazy, bro.
yeah,
Like,
that's
why is
crazy.
it? Why we can't? That's why when people are like, I get that sometimes in Twitter, people don't really know what, if I'm an op or if I'm just in here on some CIA covert shit, pretending like, no, man, I've always liked the term native black from Dr. Claude Anderson. I've always
Right,
liked that term. Once I read the book, I'm like, I like that fucking term. Like a
right,
motherfucker, I think that shit is dope because it made me feel a sense of pride to the landmass. I'm saying my perspective, my brother. It made me feel like, hey, this is my land for real. So it made me feel that way. But then when he came with the foundational Black American, I like that twist too. But that
yeah,
doesn't mean I'm not finna sit down and have no conversation with an ADOS, or I'm not
right.
so, or with a Moor, or with a Hebrew Israelite. That's some clown ass shit to me when niggas be on some divisive shit. I'm talking about the commoner, not the people that are on a public mainstream platform. I'm talking about
Right.
just the regular people. Man, you finna really be arguing with a nigga because he a Hebrew Israelite and you a Moor? Like, y'all supposed to be out there standing toe to toe. Like
Right.
we together because I'm pretty sure the Moorish Science Temple could teach the Hebrew lights some shit, and I'm pretty sure the Hebrew lights could teach the Moorish Science Temple shit. That's why I feel like I just always bring up the Nation of Islam because I'm not a Nation of Islam, my brother, at all. But the reason why I bring them up is because when I watched the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, bro, break down several religions, and like he was breaking it down so cold, I'm like, damn, is there a teleprompter he reading this shit, bro? And this was in the 80s, bro. This wasn't in the 90s. This was in the 80s when he was breaking down other religions. I was like, and then that's when he started saying, y'all need to study every religion. Don't just study the Nation of Islam. Study Church of God in Christ. Study Episcopalian. And he was breaking it down. And I'm like, when you are knowledgeable and have a knowledge base about multiple things, I think conversations are just better. But there's so many people that will listen to you, my brother, and be like trying to argue you down. And my thing is always, why don't you just listen to what he's saying and take a sit back and compare the notes? And then whatever you feel like is contrarian to what you believe, ask the person for the book. Instead of sitting up here trying to argue the nigga down, man, you taking too much time away from building the nation, as you said. That's why I'm like, well, just give me the books, man, and then I can study, the pros and the cons, and I can come up with my own belief system. Niggas be adapting other people's belief systems. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then niggas, and then like I see people all the time, bro. When I be on Twitter, I ain't never got into it with no ADOS about FBA, and I don't get into all that, bro, because that's time wasting shit. Like I'm not gonna argue nobody down about that. Why we ain't learning? Like what you saying is some real shit. How you like, look, bro, we need to build a nation building. We need to learn about our religion. Do you know how you just broke down the Metru Neter and our religion? You right. Most black Christians would say you going to hell. For real. They would say that shit.
You know what I tell them? Prove it.
What?
I tell them, prove it.
And that's what. Hey, let me say this to you. I remember one time, man, and I was not trying to be funny, bro. I was like 14, 15 years old. Oh, you going to hell? You baby good. I was like, well, what's hell like? Well, the Bible says. I said, well, who has went to hell, came back to life, and was able to tell us about it? Because other than that, like I just said I don't understand. And I got I kind of got in trouble for that. Like, we're gonna have to pray for you. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just like, well, who went to hell or heaven and then came back and was like, hey man, what I'm saying? FBA, man, shit, heaven is the shit. You know what I'm saying? Or hey man, hey, the real one, man, let me tell you, nigga, hell be cracking. Like, who really has done that? And I got like people just looked at me like I was crazy. And that's when I was just like, well, man, I don't understand this shit. And nobody could explain it, but they'll tell you going to hell.
And that's why you can break that down. Ask somebody, how do they know heaven is up and hell is down? Why isn't it north, south, east, or west?
And this is another thing after I read, The Matrix of Power. And he broke it down from a religious standpoint. He was like, hell is not a place where you burn in fire. He was like, hell was an extension on wordplay, is when you go under the ground, when you're being buried or something. Like, he was like breaking it down. He was like, it is not even what people are trying to make it seem to be. So that's why I just feel like I just feel like you're right. That religion shit, we really, really need to re-educate ourselves. How more advanced do you think we would be if we were educating ourselves instead of being indoctrinated in whatever school district you came from? How far advanced do you think we would be?
We would be at least as advanced as our ancestors, the ancient cultures.
Tell me why. Explain why. Talk to that point and explain why do you think that we would be that way?
Because, I mean, these people didn't have all the distractions like we have today, keeping us away from our true purpose in life, which was to manifest our own reality. into existence because we are gods on this planet, and we are connected to all other living things on this planet. We are connected to the planet and the universe. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that type of understanding, think about what type of nations that you can build. How could racism even exist if you are an animist? Think about it. How could you really be racist for real if you had an understanding that we're all connected through consciousness? Like for real, for real. Why would there be any religious prosecution or persecution if we all had that type of understanding? You know, it doesn't really practically make sense. You know what I mean? Sweetie, your food finna be ready right here. Okay? Your food's ready. Look, see, I got the chips, here the nachos. You trying to get croissants. No, wait till the morning. That's why we never have no croissants, sweetie. Yeah, you can't be eating all the croissants at dinner. You dig? We about to eat these nachos. Now, what kind of chips you want? You want these or you want the other ones?
You had to break that down real quick. We're not eating
Yeah,
all the
real quick.
croissants.
Yeah, man. For real. I ain't gonna lie, man. Them croissants, they be hitting in the morning time. A little bit of that
That's
turkey
a fact.
bacon and the
Hey,
eggs. You feel
hey,
me?
look,
You
look, look.
know?
Look. Don't get me started on those croissants. I eat the croissants all day, and I
Yeah.
know I eat them all day. Man, you breaking it down though. You breaking that science down about how we would be more advanced. Talk about, if you can, just speak a little bit about the distractions today versus no distractions back in our ancestors' day. Even no matter of fact, you know what? Let's not even go. We're not even gonna go that far back, because you're gonna go over people's heads. Let's go. Let's just go back to the plantation day when we were inventing the iron and the hot pressing comb and the first automobile. Like when we started inventing things, speak about how then there was no distractions and how we were able to create things. You know what I mean? And how now they're creating everything for us. Talk about why we, our ancestors in this land, you know what I'm saying, which is our land, how we were able to be so creative. The Benjamin Banneker's, the George Washington Carvers, you know what I mean, the Granville T. Woods. Talk about why they were able to be so creative, and now we can only be creative in music or sports.
Yo, that's a good question. First off, they were more productive back then. I mean, look at Black society in America back in the day. The further back you go, the more prosperous we were. You know what I'm saying? It's because we didn't have to deal with all this racism everywhere all the time, you know, and we don't have to think about racism. You know what I'm saying? We can focus on building for our own communities. We built and invented a lot of these things out of pure necessity. And a lot of these things that were invented were mostly because, you know, our ancestors were living according to nature. They were living literally one with nature. And they're able to tap into this type of elite type of thinking to produce the type of technological scientific advances that we have today. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I'm not saying that that element of Black people is gone, but we're so distracted with everything. It's like it doesn't even exist, you know, because it's like that saying, that philosophical saying, if a tree fall in the forest, does it make a sound? And it's really all about a matter of perspective. See, they know who to go get when they want some technological advances. As a matter of fact, we still doing it. And who's that? What's that brother's name? Moses, the brother who went to Flint and brought Flint clean water.
Oh yeah, he created that. He created that thing that makes clean water out of thin air.
Facts. And
Yeah,
it
yeah, no, that's a
sabotages
fact.
his feet. Yeah. So we still
Yeah,
have that type of shit. We still have that. The reason why we have the most scientific technological advances is because we built the greatest civilization known to the planet. Period. We built the greatest civilization And this is the oldest civilization in the world outside of Atlantis, which is not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? But, we're basically a colony of Atlantis. We gave the rest of the world civilization. Europe didn't even have corn until they met some Americans. Africa didn't have okra until they came in contact with Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are the progenitors of agriculture. And this is why we're able to build civilization, because we have fed our people. We went from hunter-gatherer people to farmers. And that changed the whole game. Now we have the time to deal in the arts and sciences and masonry, architecture. We can build families now. You can't do that if you constantly hunting for some shit. This is why I was argue that Greeks ain't never really have no history. They never had no civilization because they don't have no agricultural presence. And you look out at people living, you will not see one corn stalk in Greece.
That's a fact.
You look
That's a
at the
fact. Matter of
movies
fact,
that you look at the movies and how they depict those Greeks. You will not see them farming.
yep. No, you're right. And too, the tobacco. When we were doing it, when we cultivated the land for tobacco, it was used to heal the inside of your body. You know what I'm saying? You stand over it, you know what I'm saying? You cultivate it, you don't add no chemicals to it, and then you stand over it. And the purpose was, according to my studies and what I've read in several books, especially they came before Columbus, you stand over it, you burn it, you stand over it, and it's supposed to be like a diffuser for the inside of your intestine. So if you were having like, when you were having stomach pains and problems, the Moors then, which is us, knew how to cultivate the land to come across to make the tobacco, but they didn't add no chemicals or no bullshit to it. They would light it, stand over it, and if you had bad stomach aches, it would heal the inside of your intestines, your body, because you stand over it and let it go through the anus. And people don't know that because we're just under this impression. So you're right about that, because they damn for sure didn't know how to cultivate the land. Because Christopher Columbus, or whatever the fuck you want to call his name, and you're right, he is Jewish, because in that book, The Secret Relationship Between Jews and Blacks, it states that wasn't his name. He changed it multiple times, and he was really Jewish. And he didn't want the Spanish crown to know that he was Jewish, according to that book. You know what I'm saying? And other books too. But they couldn't cultivate the land. And that's what he was saying. That's why they couldn't stay certain places, because they didn't know how to cultivate the land and crops and planting season. They had to get that shit from black people. If I'm wrong, just find me the book that I'm wrong. But this is
Bro,
what Columbus said. This is what he said in his own fucking diary. Like, I didn't say this shit. He said it in his own diary when he was writing. Like, that's why he basically told on himself, from my studies, from what I interpreted, that he didn't really discover shit because it was already black people here. And he needed their help because he didn't know how to cultivate the land. That's where comes in the cannibalism, because they were out there starving. And then they came to the Americas and they were starving in certain parts of America because they couldn't they didn't know the planting season, how to cultivate the land. So they had to get the black folk, us, not no red Native Americans, none of that shit. Because if that's the case, then you wouldn't have needed to enslave niggas to build your shit. So you
you
you,
know, it's,
you
I never even knew that key detail about Columbus, as far as him saying that they didn't have shit in Europe, and they didn't really have no agriculture over there. But it's funny how me and you came to the same conclusion. We took different paths, but we came to the same conclusion. You know what I'm
facts.
saying? And that's
No,
how you
no,
know
facts.
that's what you call objective truth. Like, we can objectively say Europe didn't have shit. So how the fuck America didn't get popping up until these Europeans brought slaves over here? You know what I'm saying? I don't like that
Exactly.
narrative. Like, oh well, we slaves built up America. How that doesn't really make any sense, because slaves are this okay? It only makes sense if the slaves were the ones who were also coming up with all this intellectual property that's as valuable as it is today. Like all those inventions that were patented by black folks during times where it doesn't even make sense. It's like, well, damn, like we supposed to be enslaved. We supposed to be at the bottom of society. How is it that we inventing all of these things, getting patents for them as well, too?
And that was one thing I heard Dr. Hiawatha Kamade talk about, and he just was like, the only thing that the white man owned was the patent office. He was like they're not responsible for creating any of the things that you see in the United States of America right now to this day. That's why when I talk to people, I tell people when we get on the topic of slavery, I say, look, I don't give a fuck if them niggas was slaves. I don't give a fuck what was on. But what you cannot take away from black folk in this country is that we built it from scratch. Because if we
Right.
didn't build it from scratch, then why the fuck why didn't you get the so-called Native Americans to build the shit? So that's where I always get, people that they want to push back, but they like, oh yeah, you are, yeah, but well then you could have got them niggas. Matter of fact, why didn't y'all just come over here on y'all ships that we can't find, and then y'all could have got all the niggas up out of this country, and then you could have brought a whole bunch of white people over here, and you could have built the country from scratch. Why the fuck did y'all keep? If that was the case, why did y'all bring us here? Not just that, why would y'all allow us to stay here if we were already here and you didn't need niggas to build the country? So
Exactly.
stop it with the bullshit. Just like I had to, like I always have to sit back and look, in my studies, I can only say what I've studied, what I've read, and from my interpretation, nigga, y'all need niggas because, nigga, you don't have a nigga, you don't have Henrietta Lacks. You don't have Henrietta Lacks, you don't have stem cell research. She was the one healing all the people, all them dominant society people all across the world. If you read this book, I don't know if you read, it's called Medical Apartheid. Man, in that book, it breaks down so much science about what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was talking about, genetic annihilation. See, they want to annihilate, they're afraid of being genetically annihilated, but they need black people like a motherfucker because we are the natural healers of this world and this country. You see what I'm saying? In this country and in this world. And I feel like, this is just my perspective, I feel like these motherfuckers already know it. It's just we don't know it. They already know who we are. They already know what we've done. That's why they box us in my perspective, into sports. You notice it's either we're in sports or entertainment, but they don't never talk about us when it comes to tech. They don't never talk about us when it comes to agriculture. They don't never talk about us when it comes to everything else, but they'll always put us in that entertainment perspective. Now, let me ask you this question. Why is that? Why is it they'll only let us be successful when it's basketball and entertainment, rapping. Anything else, we get no props for. Why do you think that is?
Do you believe in the power of manifestation?
Yes, sir.
This is the reality that black people have manifested for themselves. And truth be told, most niggas on their own volition want to be rich and famous. They want to be the entertainers. You know what I'm saying? Because of what it represents in this society. We are so far gone that we don't have any knowledge of self. And this is why we're always begging for handouts, cutting a jig for a bag, like Roland Martin. You know what I'm saying? It's because we have allowed ourselves to think that we can't really do anything else besides that. So just keep it funky. There's a lot of black people, even though there's racism and all this and that and third, that's not stopping niggas from wanting to go to the NBA. Niggas don't
Facts.
have to play. Niggas don't have to play in the NBA. Muhammad Ali, perfect example. He didn't have to box. You feel me? And he didn't box when it meant standing for something. Remember,
You know
they
what?
tried to get him to go to the war. He's like, oh, I ain't fighting no white man war.
And
I'm fighting a war right here.
and
You know
you
what
know
I'm
what I
saying?
think? You know what I think? I'm glad you brung that up. Damn, I wish my brother No Compromise was on because I would want to get y'all's perspective. You know what I think? I think Muhammad Ali was rooted and grounded in who he was. I think the Nation of Islam brung it out of him. I think they were able to help him learn who he really was and articulate it in such a way and stand for something. And you had people like Jim Brown. You had uh who's the other brother that's from Boston that won all those championships? Um, I'm blanking on that dude's name, basketball player. I'm tripping off that right now. But he had people that would help him financially. Harry Belafonte, all those people that was really willing to help. Sam Cooke. Do you think? Do you think then we were more willing to stand up for each other than what we are now?
Um, Look at how they did Kyrie.
Ooh.
I mean, there's some niggas that were behind Kyrie, but the ones that had bigger platforms, they was all attacking Kyrie, especially in the sport industry, in the sporting industry, in ESPN. You know, they had this nigga Stephen A. going in on Kyrie. He still goes in on Kyrie too. You know,
He sure do. He sure do. Why do you
you know
think
what I'm
that is?
saying? But
Why do you
the
think?
good thing that I like though is that a lot of niggas is actually more black people were for Kyrie and his decision than there were coons trying to tell him that he needed to get vaccinated. That's a good sign. That was a really good sign. You know what I'm saying? From our people. Our people wasn't really going for the okey doke like that. You know what I'm saying? Some of our people went for the okey doke, you know what I mean? And they
Facts.
paid the price for that.
That's
But
facts.
you know, those people were necessary for us to understand how ineffective those vaccines were. So, you know, you live and you learn. It's a hard lesson to learn if you're taking the vaccine, but hey, you know, for research purposes, I mean, I appreciate your sacrifice.
Okay. Look, I'm gonna hit you with one more question
Go
because
ahead.
I know you're busy. You got other stuff going on. I know, but I appreciate you coming on. I just want to hit you with one final question.
No
What
doubt,
do
brother.
you think? What do you think that we as people need to do to move forward? I'm talking about now, from now. We know what we got going on. We know the knowledge that we need to do and research. What do you think we need to do to move forward to come together as a people to establish a nation?
First things first, genealogy. Period. And second thing, whenever we congregate with each other and we have these conversations, or sometimes I even call them think tanks, we need to have more think tanks. You know what I'm saying? Where we actually have honest dialogue about our issues. And we need to do exactly what you've been saying, brother. We need to exchange notes. We need to compare notes with one another and see if we can come to that objective truth. You know what I'm saying? Once we can do that and get our genealogy down pats and get a grip on who we are as a people, everything else will take care of itself for real. We'll immediately start looking at ways to empower ourselves. But we need to understand the why, and that goes into your genealogy first. Go into genealogy, and then if you can, cross-reference what happened throughout your genealogy with real history. Verify what actually did happen in history or what didn't happen. So that would give you a sense of what we're fighting for. So you're not just fighting for some shit because somebody said that that's what we need to fight for. And that's all we need for real. It's easier said than done, but like I said, it's really about self-knowledge.
That's facts. Now, this is what I think. Not only what you said, but I'm gonna be honest, man. We need to start studying, man, for all those you know what I mean, that don't really know. And look, I'm not talking about the people like you, David, my brother from Compromise, my brother Jangle Leg. I'm not talking about my brother that was on earlier. He was dropping signs. I'm not talking about y'all niggas. I'm talking about the goofy ass niggas that ain't picked up not their book and go on YouTube and Google for every fucking goddamn thing and want to be divisive and argue and keep up bullshit. Because to me, my biggest issue that I have today is a lot of these niggas that be arguing, like what you said, when we were talking about thought leaders, and I gotta give you props, you wasn't disrespectful. You didn't say nothing bad about Tariq Nasheed. All you said was, hey man, we just need to have a conversation and there's another way we can look at things. You was never disrespectful. And I could tell, I said, oh, this is an educated nigga. Because most niggas that don't have knowledge and don't have education, they're emotional. They talking shit that they don't really know. They ain't did no research. And they are agent provocateurs. They are, as we would call it, they are divisive and they sow discord. And I feel like we need to start weeding them motherfuckers out. Because I'm so sick of watching it on Twitter and social media. You know, I get it. You want to be a soldier for the cause. You want to be a soldier for ADOS. You want to be a soldier for FBA. You want to be a soldier for my More Science Temple brothers and my Hebrew Israelite brothers. But my issue that I have is just be a soldier for them without being divisive with other groups. You don't have to be divisive. You can come together and be like, okay, well, you FBA, well, this is how I feel about that, man. What do you think, man? You know, what kind of books? Let me know the books that you read, man, so we can come together. You know, and have an objective truth, as my brother just talked about. That's what I feel like once we start weeding them divisive motherfuckers out the way and getting rid of the Sambos and the Mammies and the Coons and start doing our research on who we are, what we've done for this world and this country, I think we'll be good, my nigga. But so many people just want to get the bag and they don't want to do no type of research. And I always relate it to the Matrix. You'll always hear me talk about it. It's more ciphers in the world, nigga, than people even really know. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that is divisive. And I really give you props, my brother, because you stood square on what your research was, but you wasn't disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And that shows the level of maturity. And it's true. When I come across niggas that's knowledgeable, they don't be emotional about shit. They just kind of be like, all right, well, this is where I come from. And, you know, these are the books that I read. Give me some books. That's why I was, you know, telling you, hey, man, if you got any books, man, I'm here to learn, bro. Like, every day is a school day. Because let me tell you something. Nigga, why niggas is arguing with each other, nigga, I'm in Vegas right now, nigga, Las Vegas, Nevada. Nigga, ain't no fucking black people with it's like a handful of black businesses out here. It ain't a whole lot of black businesses. And I'm about to do something real soon so I can show niggas ain't as many black businesses and shit going on as we think. And we more divisive towards each other than uplifting and working with each other. Like I said, just because this person is ADOS and this person is More Science Temple and I'm the FBA or whatever. No, nigga, I'm all of us. nigga, I'm like Nas. When Nas, I don't know if you remember on Last Real Nigga Alive, when Wu-Tang was saying that Biggie was stealing Nas's rhymes, and then Biggie told Nas, Wu-Tang stealing your rhymes. You know what that nigga Nas said? Well, I'm borrowing from all you niggas. I'm taking from everybody. And that's me. I'm trying to learn from everybody. I'm not finna pick no side. And I'm not, you notice, I said, I can't answer those things. Hopefully we can get you, you know, in a Twitter spaces with our brother Tariq, and y'all can have an adult conversation like me and you had. I'm not finna sit here and be fighting a nigga down, because then I'm taking away from me learning. So if niggas want to call me, oh, you not FBA and all that, nigga, a nigga can't tell me shit about who I am and where I came from. Only I could tell me. So I feel like we need to stop that shit, bro, and start borrowing from each other instead of looking at each other. I feel like what you say right now, if you was white, it'll be 100,000 people in this Twitter space.
That's real. That's real. if I was a member of the LGBT or something.
Thank you. I'm about to say that, nigga. If you was a part of the Democratic Party or you was a part of the LGBTQ, LMNOP, XYZ, oh, nigga, it'd be 100,000 people in this Twitter space.
Oh,
But
or if I was Barack, if I was one of these immigrant coons out here, you know what I'm saying,
man,
representing us. Oh man, that'd be all over the news.
And that's why when we got in that Twitter space, I was so happy and thankful that you was like, my brother, you want to speak? And people be thinking like, oh, this nigga coming there, but I'll be when niggas be speaking facts, I'm laughing because it's so factual. It's almost funny that niggas don't even understand. Because I'm telling you, a lot of the shit that you be saying and my brother David be saying and other people and my brother Django, that should be going over people's heads, bro. My brother Django, he was talking about the other day before y'all got on how he come across a lot of elderly black folk and they just be like breathing down your neck about voting. And then you spoke about it today. What you spoke about today, if you told an elderly black person that, they'll tell you going to hell. Just for saying, okay, you see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, we have to stop being divisive, I feel like, and we have to be flexible in our beliefs. Meaning, let's start comparing notes. I'm not talking about kumbaya, because kumbaya don't mean shit if you're not trying to listen, be eager to hear and slow to speak and see where a person's perspective is from and not just be divisive and want to be like, no, well, I got this book. Niggas be too busy trying to prove each other wrong, I feel like, then say, hey, man, well, where you get those books from? That's all, man. I just wanted to let you know, man, I appreciate your knowledge, man. It's very, 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 very on point. And I feel like I suggest a lot of people go fuck with you on this Twitter, man. And I know you got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, honestly, I have not posted on my YouTube in a while because last time I posted, they took my video down, and I had my second strike. So if I would have got one more strike, they would have permanently deleted my YouTube. So I said I'm just gonna take a break so I can focus on getting my you know what I'm saying, all the content in regards to this research, packaging it up real nice so that I can, redistribute this information to our people. You know what I'm saying? And
Hey,
I just
for
been
sure.
setting it up, bro. I've been out here, like every time we do these spaces, I'm always taking notes. Like aside from today, you know what I'm saying? I haven't been taking notes since we've been doing this one, but I normally will take notes every single space that I'm in. You feel me? And I'm writing down what other people are saying, even if it goes against what I'm saying. I go research that shit, and and then
I knew it. I knew you did. I knew
I
it.
do that
That's
all the time. Like I be in the room. I don't care if there's 2 people in the room. I don't care if it's 50 people in the room. I be in here writing shit down, researching shit. They put something in the Jumbotron, I'm gonna click on that shit. I'm gonna click on the link. I catalog what's in my history, and whatever I research, I add that to my files. Like I'm real thorough with this research, and it's just me. It's not like I got a team behind me. It's not like I got a few other. Well, I do kind of got a team if you look at it, because I'm like networking with people like y'all, and I'm just writing this shit down, documenting this. What are the sources? Okay, good. Let me know the book. You feel me? I organize all this shit by file in Google Docs, Google
facts.
Slides. You feel
Yep.
me? Everything
Yeah.
automatically saves too. Man, I be having a field day with this shit. And I advise if anybody was serious about learning their history for real, you need to write this shit down and research this shit for real, for real. Even if it's countering what you think, just research to know where they got the information so you would know how to rebut against it. I don't give a fuck if it's flat earth. Like, I
Yep.
don't care. If a dude tell me about flat earth, even though I don't subscribe to it, it's like, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you my sources, you give me your sources, and we'll compare. We'll compare models. What I would do, I make playlists. Perfect example. I made a flat earth versus globe playlist. I had videos debunking flat earth. I had videos debunking the global model too. You know what I'm saying? And I would get the most prominent influencers, and I would compare their models in my own notes. So I got some notes on flat Earth versus globe or model, and then I have the playlist on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Whole playlist of videos pertaining to that topic. So this is what we have to do. If we're really serious about this stuff, we got to write this stuff down and we got to start developing our own educational curriculum. Because I teach my own daughter here at the house, and she ain't
Fact.
going to public school. She ain't going. That's like sending my daughter to, she ain't going to two places, public school and church. That's
That
right. You
nigga
get
said she
homeschooled,
not
baby.
going to public school and church. I'll
Yo,
tell you this, man.
my mama tried to get me to take my daughter to church. I kept it all the way G with my mom. My mom is a Christian. I was like, Mom, I love you to death. I appreciate you giving me life, raising me. I'm still your son, but understand I'm a grown man, and if I don't subscribe with that religious practice, I don't have to pass that on to my daughter if I myself don't subscribe to it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to spend my life teaching her the, you know what I'm saying, things that she can prove for herself. And I told
That's
my
a
mom
fact.
that, she was hurt. She was very hurt. But you know what? I told my mom, I was like, Mom, if you really cared to know the truth as much as you care about Christianity, then one day you'll see it my way. I told my mom that shit. You know, Dane Calloway say, hey, everybody gets woken up at different times. So we just need to make sure we setting off these alarms. You feel me? And
Fact.
eventually, my mom, even to this very day, even though she still go to church, she still, you know, she kind of sees things my way nowadays.
Oh, I bet you she do.
You know, he did, because
Yo, I bet you
like
she
one day we
do.
had a conversation specifically about the Bible, and she was surprised at how much I knew about the Bible. She thought I just was believing that shit. Like I don't read the Bible or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I studied the Bible like I study anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I do it objectively. And I just look at things from a very practical perspective. It doesn't mean I don't believe in God just because I don't subscribe to Christianity too. And that's one
Fact.
thing that she was really worried about. She was worried about me not having my faith in God. And that's why I said that whole aspect of understanding who we are and what our original spiritual practices were, because our idea of God has been limited based off of our of the current language we use. I mean, damn, we use English. We don't even use a real language. We use the trade language. We use not even a language, it's a script made up of multiple different languages. And it was created specifically for trade. This is why it's spoken all over the world. Now,
Commerce.
you know what I'm saying? So when we talk about God, we're using a a language that was facilitating commerce to talk about God. And you wonder why motherfuckers is out their goddamn mind right now.
I'm sorry, man. That nigga shit. Hey, but it's real, man. And that's why I like these conversations, man, because this is what I like. Like I love these conversations. And it's so funny, man. Because on my YouTube, I don't be telling people. I don't tell a lot of people on YouTube. You know why? Because I watched a lot of people spit facts on their YouTube and their channel get shut down. And then
Facts.
it was one YouTube where I was like going in about educating people about, protecting themselves and how white folk believe in, the amendments of protecting themselves and they gonna have their guns and you want to be prepared. And, I'm just, man, and then I start really going in. They took my fucking shit. It gave me a strike right away. Right away. And nigga, I don't have a whole bunch of people on my YouTube page. So after that, I don't really promote my YouTube page. I don't really tell people. My shit is small. Like
Yeah.
the people that's on my page is the people that I fuck with every time I do a YouTube. Either if it's live or if I put people like these, I'll usually send these to my YouTube because I'm telling you right. When you start putting them real facts out there, they gonna get rid of your shit because they don't want your shit on there.
Yeah.
See, you have to understand. People like, let me break this down. Not that I know more than anyone else, but let's just look at our thought leaders. Let's look at our brother, um, brother Umar. I mean, dynamic, one of the most dynamic speakers you've ever heard. Let's look at them people that's out there, him and Tariq and all, just our main thought leaders that have major platforms. See, we have to understand too, those major platforms, they're making money for them. Because think about it. When you watch Dr. Umar, or you watch Tariq or Boyce Wack is one of them, when you watch it, it'll be breaks where commercials will come through. So when commercials come through, YouTube is making money because they're putting those ads out there. And then now 150,000 people are watching those commercials. So they'll let Tariq or one of them on there to a certain extent because they're on a major platform and they're making their money. But nigga, little old me, FBA, no, I don't know podcast that I do. Shit, I would be considered divisive, and I'm not making them no money. So hell no, I'm taking your shit down immediately. And I'm not talking about the super chat. I'm talking about when a nigga got 150,000 subscribers and he got 10,000 people in the chat. You know how much money YouTube is making when they play those commercials? So that's why those people are allowed leniency versus, the commoner people that are doing YouTube because they don't want no. I'm telling you, a couple of times my sister was like, nigga, you start speaking facts and they pulled the feed. I was like, what you mean? She was like, nigga, the shit just wasn't working. I'm like, but on my end, it say it's working. She was like, no, nigga. And your shit do that every time. So now I just be like, you know what? I don't even tell people about the YouTube channel. And it's like our own little community. Because, we have to understand it's the dominant society controlling this shit. I'm waiting for one of our people to make their own platform. I will pay to be on that platform where I can say and post whatever I want and don't get a strike. I will pay for it because these people they love censoring us with no problem, and that's why I feel like now it's time to get the history, get the books. And like I said, my brother, I appreciate you coming onto this Twitter space. That's why when you try to get on, when you get on your Twitter space, I don't give a fuck if I'm at work, nigga. I'll just listen because you be dropping facts, and I like rooms like this, man, because I feel like our people too. I want you to think about this, and the next time we do a Twitter space, I want you to give me your perspective on it. I feel like us too. We only want to go where a motherfucker got 500,000 subscribers, or we want to look at how many people is following them on Twitter or Instagram, but nobody really wants to just get the knowledge. It doesn't matter who gives you the book as long as they give you the book. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I can give you, you know what I mean? Nigga, if Jordan give you the book, or if I give you the book, we both gave you the book. It doesn't matter. You still have the knowledge, and I feel like we need to stop going on popularity and going on who's giving the knowledge, who's sharing their perspective and giving the knowledge. Because we get caught up, you know what it is? We get caught up on celebrityism. Oh, that nigga got 800,000 subscribers on Twitter. He's got 800,000 followers on YouTube and all that, instead of saying, well, what knowledge are they dropping? Because if they ain't dropping no knowledge, why the fuck is we listening to them? See what I'm saying? So that's how I feel, man. But hey, man, I'm gonna let you go. I know you got shit to do. I appreciate you coming on, man. And man, this Tuesday that's coming up, man, we gonna reconvene, man. Hopefully we can get my brother from No Compromise Podcast on here, man. So y'all can have a good dialogue, man.
All right, no doubt, brother, no doubt. I appreciate everything that you've been doing lately, man, and I appreciate you giving me my flowers while I'm here. You feel me? It's just a real positive feeling. It makes me want to even go harder on this. And you know what? You got me thinking about this YouTube, man. I got enough info in the cut. I might as well come out of my little brief retirement
Yeah, man. No,
You
man.
feel me?
No. And the reason why I want it, man, because I'm a big champion of wanting to see my people win. I'm not like my nigga David could tell you. Like this nigga David from No Crime Right, he could tell me. I saw his shit on Twitter. I went to go watch his shit. I was retweeting his shit, and I really was like, bro, you speaking some real shit, man. You really should be on satellite radio because you're speaking some real shit, bro. You really going in, and we just kind of clicked, and we've been cool ever since. And we always support each other. And I think people we're suspicious of people. Our eyes are raised because we black folk, and sometimes we look at each other through the eyes of the dominant society. So we don't
Right.
know how to give each other. See, the average nigga, I'm gonna be honest with you, the average nigga listen to you, they gonna be divisive. They gonna be talking all kinds of shit. But a nigga that I feel like has matured, read a few things, I can understand where you're coming from. So
Yeah.
now I can then learn from you. We don't want to learn from each other. You just said, man, nigga, I'll be in there taking notes. You know, that's funny because when I hear y'all talk, I try to write shit on my little notepad on my phone, or I'll go to Amazon. Like if y'all hear you quote something, I'll go to, what's the book? Okay, boom, you drop. I'm that way because I'm trying to learn. And I feel
Yeah.
like if more people was like that, bro, we would handle business. Because I could tell when I first jumped in your Twitter space, I could tell you was ready to go to war. Like, nigga, prove me wrong. I'm
Yeah.
laughing in the background. I'm laughing because I'm like, damn, man. Once he hear who I am, he gonna be like, oh man, I shouldn't even did that. This nigga ain't even on that
Yeah.
shit.
Because I be seeing how people like Dan Calloway are being mistreated by our own people. You feel me? And
Man,
that shit that I saw yesterday. Let me tell you, man. I have love for my brothers. I have love for Tariq. I really do. I got receipts that show you. I've been supporting this brother since Hidden Colors. You know what I'm saying? I've been supporting this brother for years, and I've supported him long enough to see where he basically went from Pan Africanist type of ideology and kind of shifted towards Aboriginal ideologies. You know what I'm saying? And the
facts,
craziest
facts.
thing about like what you've been saying and how people are so divisive when they hear something that's a difference of opinion than theirs. I have a homie that I'm still cool with to this very day. But back a few years, several years back, I'm talking about maybe 2013 ish, 2014. We, I was on that Pan African shit at one point. I'm not gonna front. I have no reason to front. Shit, I was taught the same shit everybody else was indoctrinated with. I used to think that Africa had everything. We came from Africa, and one of the affirming uh, approaches that I would use as far as that talking point would be to refer to ancient Egypt and the pinnacle of all human civilization, but I never knew about like the civilization here in America. I knew pyramids was over here, but I knew that ancient Egyptians basically traversed the entire world. They was over here at one point. Like I knew that. So my thing was, oh yeah, we from Africa, but originally from Africa. Then we all migrated here at one point. But I never subscribed to evolution theory though. You know what I'm saying? So when my homie came to me, said like, "Hey man, what it, he was just asking me questions. Where did you hear that we all from Africa? Where'd you hear that from? Where did you get it from?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was taught that in school." You know what I'm saying? I had to really think about it. Like, oh shit, I was taught that shit in school. You know what I'm saying? And then like at first when he was telling me this stuff, I was kind of rejecting the information. I wasn't like arguing with him. I was just like, I feel what you're saying, but I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just on the fence about it. So what I did was I went and looked into this shit myself because I was uncomfortable with the fact that I was believing that we were from Africa, all because I learned it in school when I was sitting there bucking against evolution theory because they taught that shit in school too. So it
Facts.
made me really, really do a hard soul searching into myself and like what was taught to me? Was I indoctrinated? Was I programmed with this knowledge? If so, how do I reprogram myself or deprogram myself? Where do I start to know the truth? So first off, you got to know where they lied. So I was going through the research, trying to verify. I was trying to prove we were from Africa. Like when I was doing the research, I was kind of biased because I felt like I was right. But the more I researched into this, the more I found out I was wrong. And no, I didn't get my research from Dan Calloway. I never got my research from Dan Calloway. I honestly didn't start really listening to Dan Calloway up until maybe this past year. But outside of that, I knew of who Dan Calloway was. I knew what he talked about. Even after I had was going into it or getting into it with my boy, you know what I'm saying? And we were kind of bumping heads as far as that Africa thing at first, because he was really on his indigenous American shit at the time. This was years ago. And so I can't. And then one day I called this man because I had came into the knowledge and like I had read this book called Ancient Mystic Oriental Masonry. You feel me? I read that book. I went to all kinds of different sources that I still have a catalog today. And I proved to myself that we are from here. We were already here. You know what I'm saying? We did not come from Africa. If anything, we gave Africa civilization. And when I told him what I found, he was so happy because he told me the same thing you said. He said most people when they hear the information, they just believe what they want to believe, and it is what it is. They don't even give it a chance. But with me, I actually looked into the information. We've been cool ever since. I just got off the phone with this brother like shortly before I even got on Spaces with you, and we were chopping it up, you know? And this is why I be trying to tell people, don't be so dismissive of something just because it's different. I had a
What's the
debate
name
with
of that
somebody
book?
about white supremacy.
What's the name of that book? I'm sorry, brother, but that book you said was cold. What's the name of that book you just said that you had read?
Ancient Mystic Oriental Masonry. It's by Swinburne Clymer. And yeah, that book right there is a monster. It's a monster. I can give you an excerpt from that book. It says in that book, the cradle of symbolism used in all masonry is placed by many of the best authorities in that country, which they believed was first inhabited, i.e., the plateau of Tartary, and from there transmitted to this generation by the sages of India, Persia, Ethiopia, and Egypt. We are not indebted to ancient Egypt for either religion or masonry, but to America.
Mm. Oh yeah, you know I'm gonna check this out, my nigga. You already know I'm gonna check this out. Right now, I'm telling you, I just go through a roller coaster. Right now, uh, sometimes I go way back, like I read, J.A. Rogers' book, The Great World's Great Men of Color. Then I went and I reread uh, Chancellor Williams' book, The Destruction of a Black Civilization. Very, very good book. And then
Wow.
I kind of like went back into like uh the 1800s, the 1900s, slavery, people that, some of the people that were free slaves that were being kidnapped. Right now I'm reading about a lot of kidnappings. Like that's when I was talking about that book Una Judge, because that's how I found out about uh Martha Washington owning 17,500 acres of land, because she had already had all, like, George Washington, that nigga didn't have the money. George Washington married her because she's the one who had the money and the influence. Like, that nigga was basically a bum because he didn't really have no bread. She had the bread. Because remember, a lot of those white women back then, they were inheriting property and endowments from their fathers. You know what I'm saying? So if they're inheriting that shit, according to the studies that I've read, yeah, that would make sense. Because if you like in Bacon's Rebellion, when I read that book, Nathaniel Bacon, he was not liked by his wife, his father-in-law. The father-in-law told the daughter, if you marry that motherfucker, I'm changing the fucking will. You're not gonna be in the will because this is a shiesty motherfucker. You see what I'm saying? So you know, don't so because I wasn't taught that about the United States of America Incorporated. So I kind of like do a roller coaster. Like I'll get into my like where we you know the 1800s and shit like that because I like to learn about that shit. And then I'll go back more in time. Like you know, I got books about Suleiman the Magnificent, and then I got books about the Merovingians because people think the Merovingians is fake. No, those are real people. They're the Franks. That's where you got the money, the Franks. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't know that, but you know, they put it in front of you. That's why I love the Matrix, because the Matrix puts the shit right there. When they talked about the Merovingian, but people thought I thought it was fake. When I first saw the Matrix Reloaded, and he was telling Morpheus about, telling Neo about the key maker is being held by a very dangerous man. I just thought it was some fucking fake folklore bullshit. Then it comes out like, no, the Merovingians, those are real people. I'm like, oh shit. Well, let me read a book about it. You see what I'm saying? So it's all, man, books is for me. To me, knowledge is something that should give you a better perspective on life. You know what I'm saying? And you should always be on the quest for that shit, man. And like I said, man, I appreciate you being on here, man. We gonna reconvene on Tuesday, and man, hey, and have your shit ready. We'll do it. I'll start around 5. Because I'm pretty sure 5 people are getting off work. If you in a whole other city or state, you know what I'm saying? That's not a too late time for you to be on here. So we're going to do it around 5 on Tuesday, all right?
All right, no doubt. For sure. I appreciate you having me up here, brother.
Hey, no problem, my brother. Hey, man, be safe. Have a good weekend. And we'll reconvene on Tuesday, my brother.
All right, you too as well. Peace.
All right, Janky Leg. We out.
Janky Leg. 1.